Hello, everyone. I'm Holly Alice from Warner Brothers Television Publicity, and welcome to our panel for Wonder Women. All right. DC has been flexing its power with female heroes on television screens and in the comics for years, including kick-ass characters on Supergirl, The Flash, Arrow, Gotham, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and in comics with titles such as Batgirl, Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman, and DC Superhero Girls. Today, we'll celebrate the work of the remarkable women bringing these characters to life and hear more about their collective experience.
Face us like a man!
How about I kick your ass like a woman instead?
This is so cool!
It's extremely badass. So do you.
Don't look so surprised.
Who the hell are you?
I'm the justice you can't run from.
We're strong women.
Yeah.
Hashtag feminism.
Hashtag feminism.
I'm Diane Nelson, president of DC Entertainment. Women have always been an important part of DC Comics. It all started in 1941 with the creation of the first female superhero, Wonder Woman.
She's not an unreasonable icon to have been created. During World War II, women took over a lot of male roles. She's a Rosie the Riveter, only a goddess.
Wonder Woman was created decades ago, but the adoration for her character has lasted generations because she's strong, brilliant, and beautiful both inside and out.
Nice boots. You like?
I borrowed them from a friend.
DC Comics has the best female characters in the world.
I was sent to protect Earth, and that's what I'm gonna do.
I'd rather fall on my sword than surrender it to a woman.
Today is your lucky day.
You ready?
For anything.
I'm such a fangirl of comic books.
There's so many female superheroes that live and exist in our world right now. And so why shouldn't they be reflected in comic books, on screen, everywhere?
It's kind of hard not to think a girl flying around in a superhero costume kicking ass isn't awesome.
A hero is a hero, and we need as many female superheroes as we can find, because all little girls in the world need to know that they are just as good as men, and that's a powerful message.
Don't say I didn't warn you. I think this is a great opportunity for girls to see women in very strong positions. Girls are just as super as guys.
That's a good motto. We should use that.
With DC Superhero Girls, these girls engage in all the badass action of your typical superheroes.
Nice supering, everyone.
But at the same time, they're also trying to figure out who they are on a personal level, like every teenager since the beginning of time.
The first step in being super is believing in your super self.
DC Comics has never had a stronger lineup of bold, complex female characters.
Fire cannot touch me.
Oh, crap.
With artists and writers like Julie and Shawna Benson, Shea Fontana, Agnes Garbowska, and Mariko Tamaki.
Best team up ever.
This is truly the golden age of female characters in DC Comics and television.
How's everybody doing today? You good? First of all, I have to say, when I landed here last night in DC, it was 60-something degrees. What happened? My little thin California blood can't take this. What is going on? But I'm so happy to be here. I just have to say, it is an honor for me to be here today and to moderate this panel full of badass women in the comic world. I mean, if you guys, I know you love comics. I'm new to the game, but even I know just coming to it in the last few years, the kind of complicated history that comics have had with female characters. So to see these women trailblazing, making changes, making a difference, and having a real perspective and point of view in the comic book industry now is fantastic. So I'm really, really excited about this today. Are you guys? Absolutely. Okay. So I want to introduce each one of our panelists to you, and I want to make sure that we give them so much love and make them feel really, really good about what's going on here today. So are you guys with me? All right, absolutely. Okay, first off, I want to introduce to you Candice Patton. You just saw her a few minutes ago, right? She plays Iris West in The Flash on the CW. Candice was raised in Plano, Texas with her father. He's a retired FBI agent. Her mother has a retired career in finance. I'm giving them a little background.
This is my whole life story.
Baby, listen. I'm giving them a little background on you. She's been in a lot of things, television shows like Entourage, Castle, Grey's Anatomy, The Game, CSI Miami, The Forgotten, One Tree Hill, Harry's Law, all of those. But right now, we do love her on The Flash on the CW, so we give her a lot of love. Thank you very much. Welcome, Candice.
Security numbers.
You're like, yeah, absolutely. What else do you have to say about me? Everything, right? Next up, I want to introduce to you guys Caity Lotz, who plays Sarah Lance, better known as White Canary in DC's Legend of Tomorrow on the CW. I guess I can kind of quell with the whole background.
Yeah, you have to pull it back a little bit.
She's like, just tell me who I am, and we'll go from there. Next up, Danielle Panabaker, who is Caitlin Snow, better known as Killer Frost on The Flash on the CW. Hi, Danielle. How are you?
Good. How are you?
See? Doesn't she look gorgeous? And she's a butt kicker, so that's even better. We like that. Coming out now, and I've asked her 45 times how to pronounce her last name, just to make sure I don't screw it up. So Camren Bicondova, come on out here. Did I do it right? Camren gives us a little shimmy because you all don't know, but she used to be in a girl dance troupe called 8 Flavas.
Yeah.
8 Flavas, which was on America's Best Dance Crew. I like that. And you know her, of course, as Selena Kyle in Gotham. So welcome, Camren. Did I get your last name right?
Yes, you did.
Nice. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome next to Jessica Lucas, who plays Tabitha Gallivan, and she's also Tigress in Gotham on Fox. And she has on very good shoes today. I just had to say that. I peeped them in the green room. I didn't want to say anything and feel like a real fangirl, but they're really, really nice. Okay, please. Now let's welcome Erin Richards to the panel. She plays Barbara Keene in Gotham. And that platinum blonde hair is amazing, by the way. Please give a warm welcome now, everyone, to Sara Schecter. I knew I was going to do that, too, because your name is an alliteration. So it's only right that you're a creator and a writer. How are you, Sara? Good. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate that. Sara is, by the way, executive producer of Arrow, Black Lightning, The Flash, DC's Legend of Tomorrow, and Supergirl. All of those on the So talk about a badass, you know what I'm saying? Okay, these next two ladies, I kind of want to introduce them together because it's only right. They were, born on the same day, 3 years apart. They're sisters, and they're kind of kicking down doors together. So please help me welcome Julie Benson and Shawna Benson, everyone. And they are both comic book writers for DC Entertainment. Hi, ladies. All right, we've only got a couple more ladies left. You guys got a lot of love for them? All right, next up on the panel is Mariko Tamaki, who is a comic book writer for DC Entertainment right now. She's written on just about everything. Hello.
Hi.
How are you? Okay, come on out here, Shea Fontana. We love you, and we're happy you're here. Shea is an animation and a comic writer for DC Entertainment as well. Okay, last but not least. Agnes Garbowska, come on out here. Agnes is a comic book artist for DC Entertainment. Okay, guys, now we gotta just really shower this group of badass ladies with a little bit of love before we get started. This is your Wonder Woman panel. Wonder Women panel. Okay, I was just telling the audience, ladies, that I'm new to the comic book world. I'm loving it, but I am new. So for me, coming into it lately, it feels like that there does seem to be this recent explosion of strong female characters in comics. I'm wondering, though, did that start with the new love of Wonder Woman, or where do you think that came from? And maybe we can start with some of the writers.
Well, I would say that we have always been here. The women have always been loving comic books. And we've known for a very long time that we love seeing female characters. We love seeing ourselves represented on screen. And so with things like DC Superhero Girls that launched about 3 years ago, we're seeing just this huge explosion of the audience finally getting what they've been hungry for.
So it was just really the audience starting to listen to your voice that was already there.
No, the audience was there and the voices were there. It was the opportunity that was lacking.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I hear you. And that makes a lot of sense because I was just reading this article where it said like 26% of all characters in the comic book world were female, 12% in the mainstream. But in readership, 53% of readership was women. That blew my mind, first of all. Yeah? Give yourselves a hand. That blew my mind because I thought, okay, so if over half of the readers of comics are women, number one, why are there only a quarter of the characters women?
Well, you could say the same thing about film audiences and television audiences as well.
Why do you think that is?
Sexism.
Let's talk. Yeah.
It's sexism. It's obviously sexism in every medium. It's sexism, but I think it's also, you know, and it's like a shift, right? Like I think it is important to note that, like you said, that these women writers have always been there. People like Trina Robbins, people who have been writing in comics for a very long time, and it's important to sort of give them their due instead of, you know, painting a picture that like we all just showed up, because we've been sitting in this room a long time, you know, quietly sipping our coffee and like taking notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does it mean now for you all to be able to bring these characters to life that you've loved for generations, that you've loved for such a long time?
Well, it's a huge honor for Shauna and I because we grew up reading our dad's Silver Age comics. And so being able to take these characters that have such canon and such history and get to play in that sandbox and bring them to life and then see them come to life on TV. It's like, if you told 12-year-old Julie that was gonna happen, I'd be like, okay, cool. But yeah, it's happening, and we just have to be so grateful that it is happening. We're so lucky.
And that there's a freedom to sort of update and modernize, you know, as the times have changed. You don't want these characters who have been around forever to be completely static. They need to adapt or be adapted into the world that we actually live in. So.
That's kind of tough to do sometimes, though, because I feel like comic book fans are the most specific, particular fans, and when they love their characters, they love their characters, right?
Yeah, we're a couple of them. We are very particular.
So then how do you grow that character, modernize that character, keep moving that person forward without then alienating the true blue comic book fan?
I think you just have to do it. I think you just have to go and you have to do your best to write the character as well as you can, so that, you know, if the comic is solid, then even if it's not, it's like, you know, I always say, and this always dates me, it's like when you go to a Tom Petty concert and he plays your favorite song and it's not the way you like hearing it. Well, you don't do that anymore, obviously, because he passed away. But it's like you're angry, but you're like, still a good song, right? So then you have to kind of get into it. And I think, you know, if you like the retro, then go read the retro. The retro will always be there for you. You know, it's like a family will always like cuddle you and make sure you're okay. and then if you want something new, you can read something new.
And the characters themselves, like the nucleus of those people are the same. So it's the story that changes, I think, a little bit. I mean, yeah, you can adapt the character, but they are that character, and you can change the environment.
With DC Superhero Girls, we were very confident in our way that we approached it because we knew the character DNA was the same. Yeah. It's a whole new world, it's a whole new DC universe, and all these characters are together and they're younger than you've ever seen them, but we're really confident about making these characters who they've always been, but more modern, just keeping those character DNA traits, but bringing it into the 21st century.
Yeah, it's like your best friend. One day your best friend's like, I like Star Wars, and you're like, I don't know you. But then you realize it's still your best friend. She still has all the other weird stuff that she's always had, so you just like accept it with all the wrong stuff.
Now, this may sound a little corny, but it's a very true story. I came out of seeing Wonder Woman this summer really feeling like I could kick anybody's ass anywhere. And there was something that really sat with me with that movie and seeing those images on screen. So I wonder, like, Danielle, I wonder, playing a superhero, playing someone like that, does it do something for you inside?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, since I joined the show, I couldn't wait to sort of suit up and get to fight the way Caity's been doing for years. I was so envious of it. So it's great. It's fun. It does. It feels different. It's exciting. It really is the land of make believe, and I at least get to have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, all you ladies, you feel the same. Does it puff you up a little bit, make you feel a little more empowered when you're literally kicking butt on screen?
I mean, when I saw Wonder Woman, I had the exact same feeling. I walked out of the theater and I was like, I'll crush you. And I was like, wow, that must be what men feel like all the time when they go and see
It's
movies.
true.
Like, one movie and like I'm crushing heads.
And are we hanging our hopes a little too much on Wonder Woman? No. No.
I think that's the dawning of a new day.
Yeah, it's a start.
Do you really think so? Do you really think that movie and its success and starting to maybe see female superheroes in a different light, do you really think that's a tipping point?
I think well, it's money talks, isn't it? So that movie made a lot of money. So what happens in film is when a certain thing makes money, they make more of it. So this is just, up till now, there wasn't that model for female superhero lead characters. Now there is. It'll be flooded with the market, hopefully.
Yeah, I guess. And now I guess we're seeing on the Marvel side, Black Widow's getting her own movie, and so we are starting to see.
Yeah, but I would say, not only do films take a long time to make, and my background is working in film, but very often television is what leads the way culturally. And I think that's absolutely been true. Before Wonder Woman, there was all these ladies, and there was Supergirl, and there's always been resistance to that, and the fear that like women have to be likable, women have to seem nice, they can't be intimidating, and all that stuff. And what's so great about all these television shows is that every week people in their homes are seeing how multifaceted and complicated women can be, and I think like gay, straight, black, white, whatever, like I just think that it's all about having more. You can't hang all your hopes on one person, you can't hang all your hopes on one character. It's about representation.
Yeah. I just want to say that's been an important shift for me too, because I feel like when you're playing other characters, you might be really inclined to try and make them likable. And my character is like very snarky and sarcastic, and she doesn't smile a lot, and she doesn't apologize for anything she says. And I just kept having these moments when I started thinking like, oh, but she's not, maybe I need to make her more likable for the audience, but that's not.
It sounds like you're playing me.
It's so nice. Right. It's so nice to have that freedom for once.
Yeah. And I think now what allows us to be able to play these characters and what allows them to write characters like this and actually have the acknowledgement from the audience is that I feel like there's more understanding from everybody. I think, with social media, everybody seems to have this inner communication and understanding of every person that they follow and every person that they see. And I think that because everyone has that communication and that connection, I feel like everybody seems to be a little bit more understanding of each other. And I think that's why Wonder Woman has done so well, and that's why our characters are so loved, because people actually are wanting to understand them and wanting to basically look at their Instagram account and be like, oh, what did Selena steal today? Who did Tabitha kill today? And I think that's really cool. And I think that that's why we're able to be here today, is that people actually want to talk to each other.
I will tell you, I had a bit of a debate with a male friend of mine who has loved comics for a very long time after seeing Wonder Woman. And I'm a little ashamed because he is my friend, but his take was, I liked it, but I don't know if I feel like it was fully believable, because he still... Right. I know. Follow me here. He still lives in the world where I guess he feels like super female superheroes are more the cerebral superheroes rather than the physical superheroes.
You should watch some of our shows.
But really, like,
but do you
how
guys
believable
get that
is
still?
Superman? Like, you have, oh, this guy got bit by a spider and now he has superpowers. How much more believable is that a woman, like, that could happen to a woman?
I love that. I'm gonna take that back.
I think there's room for everything. I mean, you know, there's going to be some. It's the same with male characters. There are some people who are super physical and some people who are more cerebral. And I think it's just like we said, the beginning. And you know, the female is such a complex thing that we have the scope to have all of those. You know, I mean, I don't mean to talk about Marvel in the DC world, but in the Guardians of the Galaxy, the lady that is the empathy. I don't know her character name. I knew somebody would. Yeah. So that is such a phenomenal female character because empathy is what females do very naturally. A lot of females do. Some people don't. But it's just to show all those different parts of females that this, you know, to have Superwoman is fantastic. She's really strong. That's great. And then we'll have another woman who will be not strong, but she'll be thinking with, you know, whatever. And it's just like we need to show that huge range of characters, but to just say, you know, like females can't be strong or females can't be this, it's like we can be everything.
Have any of you ever had that experience where someone maybe questions your character or questions their strength because...
No, we work in Hollywood. That never
happened. But you were nodding your head, Camren.
Yes. I mean, there was a lot of question initially when I got the role of just like, well, Selena's not an orphan, and, you know, she's not this, no, that's just all wrong. Gotham, you're wrong. Camren, I don't know what you're doing. And there was a lot of that, and there's also a lot of questions because we get different directors for each episode, and there's a lot of questioning on the choices that I make, and, you know, would she really do that, Camren? And I'm like, yes, she would. Or, no, maybe you should pace because she's frustrated. And I say, no, she wouldn't pace. She'd stand there. So I think there's always going to be a lot of questioning, whether it's about the actor or the character or the writing. I think that's, what do you guys think? Is that something that I should get used to? Or is that something
I think that in every medium you're going to have, and especially because it's very personal for superhero stories, you're going to have criticisms of any choice that you make. I think it's a question of feeling like you have the privilege to dictate how your medium works or how an actor acts or what have you. And I think it's the difference between saying, like, that's not my thing, or versus saying, like, that's not right. Like, I don't accept this. Or, I mean, and to me, like, realistic is this, like the idea that realism is a category that anybody ticks off when we're making comics. Like, that's something that any of us are considering when we're making people fly. But I think that you just, you know, you have to see it as, like, that person's stuff, which, you know, I think that we're in this thing where you want to cater, you want people to enjoy what you're making, but, you know, in order for change to happen, change always comes with conflict. So you have to sort of, you know, resist.
Well, let me ask you all about this too, because one of the things that we saw in the video, they were saying #feminist, which I love that, and I think we should embrace that. But I hear sometimes too from other comic book fans or just people out in the industry saying, yeah, okay, these female superheroes are all so strong, but at the end of the day, they still walk around, they don't have clothes on. So how much of a feminist are you if you're Wonder Woman and you still have a little skirt on when you're kicking butt?
That's what feminism is. You can kick butt and wear what you want.
My point exactly. But do you hear that? And I guess I want to hear what you all think about that, because that was my reaction. Feminism is a choice.
I think that we have to separate it out. I think there's the objectification of women, which is different. And I think, like, as you have women playing these parts, writing these parts, there's just a different perspective that comes from it. So there's the objectification. Certainly when Colleen Atwood designed the Supergirl costume, like, we added a skirt. I mean, she was wearing, like, nothing. And that was, like, a male fantasy. And I think it's distinguishing between objectification and the male gaze versus, like, women being able to celebrate and be whoever they are and wear whatever they want and still be great.
There's also still a level of objectification against men in
Superhero,
superhero
that's
things.
true.
Like
Everyone
you
has
see
big
men with their
muscles
shirts
and-
off, the abs, like it's
All the
part of-
pull-ups.
Yeah, the entertainment.
And that's kind of part of the,
call
I
it,
guess, the
salmon?
comic book scribe. Like everything is to the extreme and enhanced and.
It's just when they do it with women, it's more of like, oh, you're just a sexual object. But if you're using the voice of the women, you're telling the woman's story. Like, I don't care what I'm wearing. Like, if
Really?
I have a true story and we're developing my character and I'm not a plot device just to get kidnapped or to get murdered to push the male story along, then I don't care what I'm wearing.
Yeah. Candice, I see you nodding, you nodding your head in agreement as well. You feel the same way?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think women are more than what we wear. I mean, that is not who we are. You know, we're more than our hair and the makeup we wear. That is just something that I don't know. I like putting on makeup. I like doing my hair. It makes me feel good. But that is not the core of who I am. And to Caity's point, like, as long as women are written with an arc, with a story, if they are the heroes of their own story, that's what matters. I mean, what you wear is, you know, so trivial.
And why does being a feminist have to be being more like a man? I think feminism is the choice of doing what you want, whether it's wearing lots of makeup and being glamorous or wearing your hair back in a ponytail or wearing a cute skirt or wearing Timbs or whatever you want to do, right?
I think that's the pushback, is we as a culture have a specific way we are used to seeing women, or how we want to see women. And I think the change is happening through television and comics, and women are deciding for themselves. We're saying no more, we decide. I decide what I wear today. I decide who I'm going to be. I decide the profession I'm going to take. I decide, you know, I deserve more money. We are making choices, and that's gonna make people a little uncomfortable, because before, that wasn't the feminine way. That wasn't acceptable for women. And now we're just seeing women step up and say, no more, I decide. I decide. Thank you for your input, but I decide.
Yeah, and that's another thing when you're talking with the costume designers on set, is I find, yes, Candice, that was amazing. That the conversation revolves a lot around function with the clothes, and that your costume tells a story. And so I focus a lot on that when we're talking about things. And I also feel confident and strong enough to, if they put me in something that is tight or making me uncomfortable or is too low cut, that I'm not going to wear that.
Yeah, and Jess and I actually had a really interesting moment in Gotham, where there was a scene written where we were supposed to torture a man in our underwear. And one of
As one does. We didn't want to get blood on our clothes or something.
Yeah, so yeah, we were in the dress and we had to take it off.
It was a plot thing, and that makes
we
sense.
had one of the executive producers call us and say, this scene is coming up, how do you feel? And we were like, we don't want to do that. And they were like, absolutely fine. It was a fun joke. It was like a fun thing that they were going to do, that I'm sure they thought, well, also it would be, you know, titillating, literally. So then, but they were absolutely fine with us saying no. And like, to be given that choice was a really wonderful thing.
I like
you know?
that.
Yeah.
I like hearing that.
No, and I think it's important, again, why it's so important to have women and diverse people in the room. To have a second person, you know, in that costume fitting, or a producer that's a woman that says, I got your back, you don't have to wear that. You don't want to wear that, you don't have to wear that. You don't want to say that, you don't have to say that. It's so important having other women standing next to you in an uncomfortable situation to say, like, you're not alone. You know, if you need me to stand behind you, I'll stand behind you.
I second that.
Yeah.
Well, and 100%. Also, one of the things that's really fun about doing television, which is similar to writing comics, is you get to tell a lot of stories and keep telling stories. And one of the things that's really exciting about working on television shows is the continued collaboration with the actors. And that, especially like by season 3, season 4, I don't know, Caity's been doing this for 100 years. Like, you guys know who your characters are.
Right.
You know, and I think they have a very deep understanding of them. And I think it's a real failure of any producer not to listen to an actress when she says, my character wouldn't say that, my character wouldn't wear that. Because I do think that, especially with television, you know, there is, anytime Melissa Benoist says, like, well, I don't think so, I'm like, you're right, you know. And I think it's the listening, it's the communication, but it's also basic stuff. Like, my whole career, I've been like, why did the woman character walk in the room if she's not going to say anything? And then guys are just like, oh. So sometimes you just got to keep challenging.
We have that, when we started Batgirl and the Birds of Prey, one of the things we talked to our artists about, our first artist was Clara Rose, so we had a female artist, and we kind of said, can we just not have, you know, the boobs out and the butts out, and that, like, can we make the clothes functional? Like, can we make sure that it makes sense what they're doing? And everybody was on board. DC has totally been on board. If we sort of say it's a little bit too much cleavage on Black Canary, you know, like can we lace it up a little, guys? Like she's out there kicking butt, but it's not like, you know,
I
it's got to
love
be
that
practical.
these conversations are being had, like you said,
Oh, yeah.
because a lot of times you don't know if they are, and you wonder, like, is there a checks and balances system? Are these conversations being had? Are these voices being heard?
And I think it's
ongoing conversation.
Yeah, people just hadn't. That voice hadn't been there maybe before to talk about that.
Right.
So then they hear it and they go, oh yeah, of course. It's just like, oh, you don't want to take your clothes? Got it, you know?
Like part of your, like being a comic book person is the weirdest job ever. And like, you know, I had like a week-long exchange with an illustrator once about a bathing suit, because I was like, she's underwater diving. You can't underwater dive the way she's doing it in like a bikini. And so the artist came up with like, well, what about this bikini? And I was like, we have to take bikini off the table.
You gotta take the bikinis off the table. There's that T-shirt.
Like unless it's like surgery is happening, there's no midriff.
Do you ever see the light bulb going off, like when you're telling, and they're like, oh, okay, I get it. Like it didn't even register that wouldn't be.
Absolutely. Because historically, comics have been dominated by men.
Sure.
They've been written and drawn by men. So there are these people that you'll work with, and they've never considered that perspective before. So
Sexy
there's
without being
definitely-
sexist.
Yeah. So
Also, they're going for like an aesthetic. Like Kate Beaton wrote this really amazing thing about the keyhole, like the sort of standard of like a
window.
Yeah, the boob window. And she was talking about like how like female superheroes have had to like negotiate the boob window for all this time. And I think it's just like an aesthetic thing. It's like that looks cool to draw. Because why wouldn't you put windows and doors and clothes? I don't know. And it's like for a moment to be like, well, but it's this, you know, it's like it's just a drawing, and also it has significance. It has meaning because it is sort of a way to make women accessible and vulnerable visually while they're doing this, you know, kick-ass thing.
With DC superhero girls, DC was actually really smart. They asked the kids when they were developing the characters, and the girls went, well, you can't fight in those shoes. Why would you be wearing those kind of shoes? She's
that was
running
a huge
shoes
thing
on.
that all the girls wear flats because they had a focus group and the kids were like, you can't fight in heels.
And DC listened. So now they all got cool shoes on.
Yeah.
That's great.
Get some kicks.
We're speaking of choices, and I do just have to say, by the way, Candice, in the green room, we were all admiring your choice of this rainbow fringe on this jacket. Just had to say it. Just had to do it. It's amazing. It's definitely everything. You guys have played so many characters in your career and done lots of things, but is there more fulfillment in playing a character like this for you? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone said it in the last panel. It's this like accidental activism that you become a part of, and I think that was the perfect way of explaining the last 4 years of my life, you know. I mean, I got into this A, to pay my rent, and B, to live out my dreams, and another part of that was that, you know, I got to be a voice for so many young Black women or women of color who see themselves on screen as...
Does it blow your mind when people
come?
come?
It blows my mind. I mean, you know, because these girls that come up to me, they look like me. They look like how I looked as a child and how I craved to see that. You know, I craved that so much as a child, and it was just never there. So all of my heroes were, you know, white and blonde, and there was nothing wrong with that, but I just couldn't... What makes it difficult for a woman like me is it felt outside of myself.
Yeah.
It felt like something over there for women that looked like that. You know, so it felt like that's so cool, but that could never happen to me. I'm always going to be the best friend. I'm always going to play the best friend.
Seriously, we were never Barbie. We were always Christy.
Yeah, you're always Christy. And even when I was starting in Hollywood, all the roles I would go in for were the best friend of the pretty white girl. And so for the first time, I'm the pretty white girl. You know?
Actually, you're a pretty brown girl, but that's okay.
But you know what I mean. You know the idea I have. So it's very cool.
Well, what's also really cool is that, you know, now when I go on Twitter and I see people talking about the Flash film, the hashtag is Keep Iris Black.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
But she wasn't. Like, and now people think that she should be because she has been. And I think that's the key to represent. Again, I just keep harping on representation, but it's about creating as many roles as possible so as many types of people can play these roles, which allows so many more people points of access into connecting with these characters.
Have you, because we are having a very serious conversation in Hollywood right now about gender inequality and wage gap and those things, have you seen a more, I guess, inclusive nature or wanting to be better? And where do you want to see the female representation in comics go now that we are really feels like we're at a tipping point?
Well, I just want to say, I still think there is an enormous wage inequality.
Oh, honey, yeah. Absolutely. Well, we just see that.
If you don't say it, I'm going to say it.
No, but that to me is that's a huge problem, and it's very deep, and it's women in general aren't paid as well as men. But when because I actually am privy to a lot of that sort of information, and it's abhorrent and it's awful. And it's
So what's the first step then in correcting it? Is it just knowing your worth and asking for more? Or
No, it's not that simple. There's so many more factors that play into it than just, because if the people on the other side of the table don't value you as much as you do because of their gender bias, then they'll go, okay, we'll get another chick. Whereas with a man, they're like, no, it has to be him because they value him. And it's the same, like the audience, the readers, the people negotiating on the other side, they also have to value women, or else we're never going to reach that equality. Just because you say, no, I deserve this, you're not going to get it until the other people agree with you.
Can the audiences help with that?
It's precedent, though, as well, and that's been the problem. It's like trying to fix something that's been that way for a long time. But I think it's like you look back, Jennifer Lawrence penned that whole letter about why she felt she deserved to be paid as much as her male co-star.
Right.
And then Mark Wahlberg demands $1.5 million. And it's just like people don't, they're judged differently.
The Time's Up movement is so important because it is women coming together.
Yeah,
and I think that's what's really powerful about it. Is watch out, Peter. Right? Everybody's finally getting together and saying, to Candice's point earlier, I've got your back.
And we have to, I mean, me and Caity, you know, we live together and we have open discussions about pay and how can we change the conversation.
That's key.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
not keeping it a secret.
Yes.
Because we're taught to be afraid.
Also, if it wasn't just women bringing it up all the time, that would be super cool. If, you know, like and it's funny because when I saw the Golden Globes, I actually had a fight with my girlfriend about it because I was like, all these guys can accept awards and not say anything about #MeToo. Like, why can't they just accept their award? And then the next morning I woke up and I was like, you were totally right. I was totally wrong. Like, it is important for it not just to be women who are like you know, walking around with these signs like, we're not getting paid and like, this sucks.
We can't fight the fight without our male comrades. We can't. That is a part of
feminism.
feminism.
They're not also transparent about their wages and what they're doing, what they're earning. Then there's no way that there can ever be a semblance of.
It's very helpful. It's just very helpful in general that whoever has privilege is aware of it and uses it to raise up other people. And every great social movement has included people that need and people that want to help.
Absolutely. By the way, we do want to take fan questions. So if people want to start lining up, I knew you guys would have lots of questions. They told me to only allow 7 minutes, but I knew there would be tons of questions. So I think, do you guys mind if we take fan questions now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Once we get into the questions and sort that out, I will say that like Warner Brothers, which is like Peter Roth and Susan Rovner, and DC Comics, which is like Diane Nelson and Jeff Johns, they have such an emphasis on equality, and it's it makes such a difference, and that's in fact why this panel can exist. You know, and we have to applaud the good people too.
She has a question, so I'm going to take her first.
She's been very good all morning.
If you had a superhero, what would it be?
You had a superhero, what would it be?
A superpower, I bet.
Superpower.
Fly.
I would want to fly too because LA traffic sucks.
Good one. Okay, so I think we're just gonna go back and forth, back and forth. Okay, so we're gonna start over here and then we'll go back and forth.
Hi, this question is for Candice Patton. So it just feels like the show a lot of times focuses a lot on characters with scientific backgrounds, like the doctor or the inventor. Iris West is really the central character in the Barry Allen story, in the fact that she's his lightning rod, she's the one who centers him, his compass, his true north, all those words. And she's the mother of speedsters, a sister of a speedster. So she's not a scientific, she doesn't have a scientific profession, but in the comics, she's an ace reporter, and in the show, she's now the Team Flash leader. So we really love that they went the route of the Team Flash leader, even though we didn't quite like it at the beginning because we so wanted her to be a reporter. So how important is it to you that not only as a Black woman character, she is the center of the story, but that she doesn't have superpowers, but she is just as important?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful for this season, Iris having so much more agency, for her not just being the love interest of our hero. I think she's a hero in her own right, and I think that is a very important story to tell, especially for a Black woman. I think, I don't know what I was gonna say.
That's all right.
The Team Flash leader is awesome.
What?
Running Star Labs and making the team go around is great.
I think it's great. I think it's what I was going to say is I think it's important, in all superhero stories to have characters that are not superheroes. Yes. And I don't think Iris needs to be a super scientist either to have value.
Yeah.
And it's important for everyone watching these shows to get that. And I say this all the time. You don't have to have superpowers to be superhuman. We have our amazing teachers and firefighters and policemen and people in the front lines every day doing extremely heroic things, and that has value. And I think Iris has tremendous value, whether she has powers or doesn't have powers.
Love
that.
Go,
Candice.
I love that.
My question's for Caity and Candice. I have a serious question, but first, can I ask can I have a selfie after the panel with you guys?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So it's no secret that you guys have wanted your characters to interact. You guys want to work together. Have you guys had a discussion about how that would go? And is there an opportunity for that to happen now that Wally's coming to Legends?
Is he?
That was
breaking news.
That was announced recently, so that's like, ooh, that's not like, that was announced recently. I saw it on Twitter.
Well, first of all, I love your sweatshirt. We love seeing everybody in their She Authority shirts and sweatshirts out there. Thanks, guys. We would love to work together.
Yeah, I don't know that there's any real way to make that happen in the DC TV universe.
I mean, Sara needs some friends.
Sarah's gonna be responsible for Wally if she's the leader. So like, wouldn't Iris want to be like have a conversation with her and be like, "Yo, you need to protect my brother"?
Yeah, start writing, Sara.
Yeah. Send them some emails. Let them
Take notes.
I mean, we're always pushing for more girl time and
in general
relationships, friendships, and developing that stuff more. And maybe I'll just take the jump ship and hop over and be like, Candice, let's go see a movie. I mean,
Iris. Hopefully it's like one take and that's it.
Candice, 3 takes. Sorry.
All right,
Thank you.
I'm like producing here. I'm sorry. I'm just keeping. I want to get all the questions in.
Feel free.
Okay. So last year I got to attend the Women's March here in DC, and then I came home and saw on Twitter that Danielle and Caity had both gone in Vancouver, and it just like meant the world to me that you guys had done that. And I remember thinking, wow, they're like real superheroes too. But my question for all of the actresses, I guess, is how does facing these issues, because women face so many issues today, how does facing those issues inform kind of like your portrayal of your characters? And conversely, how does portraying these characters like empower you in real life?
Good job.
I need to take a breath.
Nice question.
I feel very much in this panel and generally in life right now that women are very supportive of each other, which has just been phenomenal.
The Golden Globes, where all the women were supporting each other there, and I feel that I don't know if this is answering your question, but I just feel like it's being able to portray these female characters and be on panels like this and support each other and be able to reach out to every woman and sort of stand and say, like, I am representing, hopefully, a multifaceted, strong, loving, and sometimes anxious woman for everybody is a real honor.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
I guess for me, I've always, because I'm a very naturally shy, very introverted person, and Selena is similar, but she also stands her ground. I don't know where you, oh, there you are. So I think for me, the issues that I have with myself, Selena is an inspiration for me in that aspect where, she is confident or she knows how to fake her confidence, because most of the time, especially in my opinion, we have to unfortunately fake confidence a lot to survive certain situations. And I think with playing Selena, I have grown as a young woman because she is a strong character that I can actually be, because it's not pretending when we're on set, it's actually being. And so, yeah, I'd say that I have been inspired by Selena.
Nice.
Very cool.
Nice. Come back over here. These are great
Fine.
questions, by the way.
Yeah. So Candice and Danielle, the Trial of the Flash trailer just came out. And first of all, we saw the OTF superhero team up we've all been waiting 3.5 years for. So we were so excited to see that, Danielle. And then Candice, we know that Iris has this information that's going to change the course of the trial. There's a lot of debate in the fandom whether or not as if it's going to be her revealing that there is a Flash. Hopefully, that's not the case, but we'll definitely see. So I was just wondering, you guys have so much power in your storylines right now, especially with like Barry being on trial and possibly going to jail. And just how has that been portraying that? Do you feel like it's been leading up these past 3.5 years to have this time where you have all this power? And I would just, like to know your thoughts on that.
I think it's great. It's exciting. Our show, I think, as a lot of these shows, are very lucky to have such incredible casts, and everyone on all of our shows is so talented that it doesn't always have to be the Flash's story. It can be Iris's story. You can let it be other characters, and I think it's nice to sort of see them lean in, although I would love to see more of as they sort of lean into letting all the other characters have their moment as well.
We'll come back over here.
Hi, so this question is for Caity. So I do a bit of community theater acting and whatnot, but one of the hardest things when starting a character is like getting into their head and like what choices would they make? What was that process like for you when you started with Sara Lance?
Sara was such a tortured soul. So it was a little bit of a dark time. Just kind of understanding where that comes from. And I think I've talked to a lot of fans who've been really touched by Sara because they've felt that same way, where you feel like irredeemable, where you feel bad about who you are, of what you've done, and seeing somebody portray what that really feels like was very important to me. So, and of course I feel those things too, and so it's bringing out that and like the truth of that kind of pain, so that when she does get past it, even the little bit, you feel it's true and you know it's true, and she slips back and forth all the time, and I think it's the same for everybody, where it's not like I'm fixed. Like it's a constant work in progress. So yeah, just kind of touching with my own side that feels that same way and bringing that out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back over here.
Hi. First of all, I want to say, as a Muslim woman, thank you so much for Zari on Legends. Like, I love her so
All right.
much.
phenomenal, by the way.
She's
such
amazing.
an amazing actress and human. I'm so happy we have her on our show.
I'm glad too. My question was actually about the crossover, specifically for Candice. My favorite part was the team up between Iris West and Felicity Smoke, like the two non-superheroed women. And I love that we got to see them be physical, but then also like got to see them get married and like that side of women.
Yeah.
So was that like a conscious decision to pair up the two like non-superhero love interests in one way?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't discussed with me, but I think anyone reading that script or watching the crossovers would make the same conclusion. You know, these are two women in their shows who have absolutely no powers. And they both have worked really hard to kind of stake their place in their teams. And so it was a really cool thing, I think, for audience to see these women team up and help, you know, almost the end of the world. And have a huge part of in that. So yeah, and it was nice too. You have this cerebral side of these two women, and then you also get to see them extremely vulnerable and having their dreams come true. And that's great because women, we can have both. We are both.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank
We're
you.
gonna. I'm actually gonna take another question from over here because these ladies have been waiting in line for a little bit. If
Yeah.
that's okay. All right, go right ahead.
Hi, this is a question for all the women on stage. How does the atmosphere, either on set or in the room, change when you start to get to team up and work together as women versus being the only woman in the room?
That's your answer.
Just even going back to the Emily, me and Emily working together for the crossover. I mean, probably one of my favorite moments this season is getting to work with her, just because we're both kind of strong-willed women. But that didn't get in the way. We weren't like butting heads with each other. We were more working together to be like, okay, guys, got to keep moving. Like, come on, like you got to do this and we got to do this and we could be blocking while they're shooting this. And like we came together to kind of run the set, not run it, but like, you know, work together to keep things moving. And it was really empowering. People were listening to us more. We were saying, no, that we don't want to do that, or that we have a better idea. And again, like I was saying before, when you have another person in your corner, I mean, that's power. That is power.
And you guys are lucky your sisters get to work together. I think for everyone, we can just say, like, it's better.
Yeah, it's true. We are stronger together. It is true. That is a very true story. I'm gonna take one.
We gotta get more of these girls.
Yeah, I
We've
was
been
gonna say.
waiting for
That's
so
what I was just
long.
gonna
I'm
say.
sorry.
I was
it's
just
the
about
ladies.
to.
It's the ladies panel.
No, I was just about to say we're gonna take another one from this side.
Got some Star Labs coming up.
Hi, first of all, thank you guys so much for coming. My question is for Candice, Caity, and Danielle. Could you talk a little bit about She-thority and sort of what you see the role of social media in as connecting you guys and your characters to especially young female fans like myself?
Cool. Nice
Well,
question.
During the crossovers especially, we all started getting together and we realized, like what Candice was saying, how important it is to have each other's backs and how much stronger you are when you work together. And so that got us starting to think about She-thority. I think we were hiking together when we first thought of it. And we wanted to create a place that gave everybody else that feeling of community and they can pull on that collective strength to become better. And also a place to share our mistakes, share the things that we've learned. And so much of it, we talk to fans and we don't have much time to get into things. And so many issues, women issues, that we would love to be able to express our thoughts and the things that we've kind of gained from it. And we thought, you know, let's do it. Let's find a place. Let's make a place where we can do that, where we can share our stories and we can share your guys' stories, lift each other up, and kind of harness all that collective power so we can really make a difference.
Great. I'm gonna take one more from over here because you guys have been waiting.
Hello. Just want to say I love you guys first of all, and going back to the girl power thing and women teaming up. I love that episode of The Flash when it was just the girls and they were fighting and the men were just kicking back, having a good time. So would there be any more episodes like that, like on The Flash or any other shows? Because I would love to see that. And how did you guys enjoy making that?
I hope we see more.
Are we going to see more, Sarah?
Yes, you will see more, and you can see more every week on Supergirl.
All right, so we are going to take your questions, sir, and then with our last question, we'll come back over to you guys, okay?
Oh, hello. About 4 months ago, I became the father to a beautiful baby girl, and Thank you. And, you know, she's got a strong female role model at home in the form of her mother. And thanks to everyone here, she'll come of age into a world where she has her pick and choose of who she wants to be in this world. So thank you for that. Do you have any advice for a dad who wants to raise a Wonder Woman?
Oh, nice. Come on.
He's taking it. Believe in her.
Yeah.
Give her lots of comics.
And just
Maybe
knowing
some
enough
with it,
to
I
ask
don't know.
that question, you're on the right path.
That means I have to share my comics. I'm not ready for that.
That's what our dad did. Yeah.
I know.
Challenge her. Expect a lot from her. I think a lot of times with little boys, we are like, you should be able to do this, do this. And with little girls, it's like without, subconsciously, we do a lot of assign gender roles to them. So do your best to kind of take that out and challenge her. Let her fully come into it.
Give her the confidence of a white man.
Amazing.
I say,
Amazing.
just to add to that, challenge her, but also be a shoulder for her to cry on, because I feel like a lot of the time, just a lot of stuff in my brain. I feel like a lot of the time, dads have this standard that they're held to of like, you can't cry, you have to be hard, you have to be strong, you know. And I think, you know, as a girl, I very much looked up to my dad, and because he is a hero to me. But also, it's good to have your hero kind of sit down next to you and not stand above you the whole time. So I'd say challenge her, but also make it known for her that she can talk to you.
It's a safe place. I'm getting the red light flashing. Thank you for your question, sir, but I want to give you the last question for the panel. Yeah. Well, you've been standing waiting. I'm sorry, ladies. I really am, but I want to give you a question because I know
Shout them out at the same time.
Yeah, everybody shout.
Yes, no, yes.
Well, I first want to say, like, thank you guys for coming here. Like, we don't get a lot of love in the East Coast. Like, come on, guys.
This is a great forum. It's a great forum. It really is.
DC's popping, like. But my question is for Candice and Danielle. Like, I love, like the last person said, I love the team up, like, with the past episodes. So how do you make sure you incorporate, like, a strong and sexy element in your character without succumbing to the male gaze or objectifying yourself? Because, like, we don't need any more objectifying. You know?
I think to our general point of just being true to yourself and finding whatever makes you feel powerful. You know, it's as simple as when you get dressed in the morning, wear what makes you feel good, because you will radiate that strength and confidence. It should be about you and your own voice, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. And sometimes I just tell them, that camera better not be on my butt.
And look from here and up.
I think that's the perfect.
That's a way to end it. I'm telling you, camera better not be on my butt. Please stand up, guys. Give these ladies a round of applause. Thank you, ladies. Thank you guys for being a great audience. We appreciate you. Have a great rest of the day.